All right, everyone. Welcome to our masterclass today. We still see a couple of people dropping in, but let us get to the first introductions here. My name is Axel Albrecht. I'm a contact center solution sales specialist for 𝐸𝐸, a platinum partner of Zoom. Started my contact center journey somewhere around 1992 selling contact center solutions. So been a while in the industry. The gray hair probably tells that story as well. And I'm really proud to have Laura Ball with me here today as a co-presenter. Laura, do you want to briefly introduce yourself as well?
Hi, thanks, Axel. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us here today. My name's Laura Ball, so I lead the CX AI practice for Zoom across the EMEA region. So got the very exciting job at the minute of understanding how organizations are looking to change their customer experiences and where perhaps solutions can be sought through AI. My background actually is in delivering digital transformation and contact center change, looking at strategies on how enterprise organizations can utilize AI effectively in order to achieve their goals and outcomes. So yeah, a little bit of a varied background, but really pleased to be here with you all today. And thank you for taking the time to spend the next hour with us.
Fantastic, Laura. Well, let's move into the presentation and take you through the ideas of why are we here, right? Laura and I were discussing this one before the event. It is amazing how many things are currently changing out in the market. Let me just check, Sander, if you could change this to the presentation mode, because I think we only have the two videos right now running. We see things are developing, right? We see AI practices established in companies. We see that virtual agents are coming around the corner. I'm being told I have to share again. Okay, let's do that. Here we go. All right, I hope this is gonna get visible now. All right, technology. And we also see still in the market that a lot is still going wrong. What do I mean with that? We see that people still have, bad or cold transfers in calls. People are, giving their information, get transferred, and they have to give their information again. We see long waiting times. We see still a one-size-fits-all approach. So I get to too many websites where I find an AI agent that just doesn't understand me, right? In this instance. Laura, what's your feeling where we are and why we're still having this discussion here?
So a lot of the feedback I'm hearing across the various regions are actually we've had the technology for a lot of time. There's been a lot of noise around the benefits AI can bring, but the technology still just has not been implemented properly. And the reasons behind that tend to be that people have put the technology in place without actually understanding what they're trying to achieve, without understanding, the solution they're trying to drive towards. And therefore, the technology actually isn't delivering its best at its best because there is no sort of customer journey mapped out. There is no pain point we're trying to resolve for. There is no end goal. So, whilst the technology is advancing and it's really, really great to see that, we're just not getting the best out of it because we're not sitting down and thinking about this as to where are we now, where do
Yeah.
we want to be, and what does that solution look like in order to get us there?
Yeah, and we did a study, and I'd like the two of us to just briefly reflect on this one. I got quite surprised when I saw the figures, but in all honesty, if I look at my own experience over the last 12 months, then it actually reflects pretty well on what I'm experiencing as well. So, people are still asking today about, the waiting times that are pretty long still in before they actually get to a live agent, or people are saying that, this is not an accurate solution that has been offered. And I've been there as well, that people said, okay, you got to do A, B, and C. I said, I've already done that, right? So you feel like, is he understanding me and where I want to go? And I think, Laura, you had a great example also where it just didn't get what you were trying to achieve, right?
Yeah, that's right. And a really emotive example. So I'm moving house at the minute and I needed to apply for a new mortgage. And in order to do that, I needed a copy of some bank accounts from an account that I had closed. So naturally, the role I'm in, I went straight to their in-app chat, straight into a bot. which, it told me absolutely no problem. We've ordered those bank statements for you. It'll be 3 to 5 working days. They'll be out in the post. 5 days came and went, and the reality kicked in that I don't think the automated journey had worked properly. And that's if you think about, I was waiting upon a mortgage offer to make sure I could move home, which is a huge emotive event. So that, just to have an accurate resolution was hugely important to me, regardless of all of the other metrics that we're seeing there on the screen.
Yep. If I can, I actually like the agent demeanor item, right? And I had this experience, and I think I shared it briefly also on LinkedIn, where 2 months ago I was testing a software product, and it allowed me to translate a complete Excel spreadsheet from one language to the other. I didn't want to cut and paste, and it just took me too long. So I found this product, was trialing it, and it started the translation of my Excel spreadsheet. And at 50%, I received a phone call from the US. Okay, I picked up the phone, and a very friendly lady said, "Hey, Axel, I can see that you are testing our software product. Would you have 15 minutes for me to show you all the ins and outs of the product in a live demo?" And I said, "Well, that's really not the right time for me. I really just need this one product here to be translated, but maybe at a different time." "Oh, no worries. You're just kicking the tire," she answered. "That's perfect, perfectly fine. I have sent you, all my contact details in an email. Feel free to reach out at any time if you have more questions. Let me wish you a great day." At that point, I'm like, "Axel, I don't think this is a live human being that I'm talking to." So I kindly ended the phone, I hung up, and I stood puzzled for a second, and I thought like, what was that? And I thought to myself, this maybe has been the best service interaction that I had in my life. And the reasoning for that is I had to give negative feedback, right, to a person who was trying to sell me something. And you hear me like saying person between quotation marks, maybe. And the voice, when I said no, remained really friendly. She was professional. She understood that I was doing something, that I didn't have the time right now. If that would have been a human, it would have been so hard to play over that feeling of, "Oh, you don't have time for me, but I have this target that I need to achieve, and why I can save you so much money, you will be so much more productive." So all those feelings were gone. So for me in this instant, it was a perfect fit. And it's something in other examples that we're going to show are coming back, that actually surprisingly to a lot of organizations, when they use AI technology in this one, the NPS scores and CSATs are going up versus a live agent. And we're going to talk about this in a second. And I think we come to the stage where we should give some successful notifications, right? So maybe, Laura, you want to start and maybe share 1 or 2 examples where you're like, okay, we went in there, started small, but had a plan, and we used AI and the contact center solution to really solve an issue that the customer was having.
Yeah, so we've seen a couple, and I think one of the things we always think about when we talk about AI, because it's been, the talk track for such a long period of time, is efficiency and how AI can support efficiency gains. But I think we're in a different time now with AI, and I think there's opportunity where perhaps organizations have gained all of the efficiency, they've streamlined their operation as much as they can. And then now looking, how do we utilize AI in a way that drives us additional revenue, supports our growth agenda? Perhaps, we're looking at improving that agent experience. And we've got a couple of examples where we've utilized AI in exactly that way. So very similar, but rather than a voice format, a text format, we have a retail customer who has been utilizing a virtual agent in order to qualify sales opportunities and take away that heavy burden and load from the agents, which just isn't great. So by the time that it's qualified those opportunities, which it did $200,000 worth in the first week, that opportunity then is passed to the human agent just to convert that into a sale. So if you think about how that agent then feels, they don't have the additional sort of heavy weight of I've got to get through the yes no piece with the customer. Are they going to put the phone down on me? Are they going to be and whilst this is text based, we still see sort of that difference in the customer tonality in text if it's sales and something they're not wanting to do. So we've absolutely seen success there. And likewise, we have a number of customers who are currently going through a growth period. They're seeing increases in their customer contact, but they're absorbing that through utilizing automation on the right parts of the customer journey. So they then don't have to re-increase that headcount. They're also a third and final, I could go on all afternoon, Axel, about the success we're seeing, but a third and
Yeah.
final one which is dear to my heart, and we're seeing success at the minute, is a retail customer again who have been utilizing AI to upsell within the journey. So I, as a
Okay.
customer, come in, I've made a purchase. I run a restaurant. I've purchased my bulk order of food for the week, and then I come to check, when's the order going to be delivered. At that point, the AI is looking at their order management system and saying, Axel, you've not ordered your orange juice for the last 3 weeks. You're going to be running low. Let me add 5 cartons of orange juice to your order for you. So it's things like that where, for me as a customer, I think, oh, this company really knows me. They know I'm going to
Yep.
be running low on orange juice. Brilliant. But from a business perspective, it's a great way of starting to, drive additional revenue utilizing AI.
Yep. Fantastic example. And for me, I'm sorry, but it's these examples that actually make it bring to life, right? And I've have these conversations at the contact center world at the beginning of the year, where when you have this conversation, it starts to get that click moment, aha moment with the customers. I want to share one more example that we had, which is a publishing house in the Netherlands. They release a couple of newspapers. And you get to the odd moment when your newspaper is not received right in the morning at your doorstep. So you call in. So by default, that is not a pleasant conversation, right? And so the publishing house said, "Hey, listen, could you do some pre-tracking of the basic information before you pass it on to the live agent?" Because they get fed up by always asking, "What's the postal code? What's your telephone number? What's your customer number?" So the customer started small, doing exactly that tracking, and then it was a live transfer. So the agent immediately knew what the first name was, what the situation, the address was, and could check when the newspaper would still be delivered. They said, okay, actually that worked really well. We would like to extend it. And could the virtual agent completely field the whole conversation? So they started with who's calling, right? From the CRM, they knew what this phone number was related to, Mr. Johnson who had called before. They knew the address. So they could just say, can I check, is this Mr. Johnson I'm speaking to? Yes, it is. So we're so sorry. They looked into their tracking database for deliveries. Delivery boy is sick. So Mr. Johnson, I do apologize. The delivery boy is sick actually today, but I've released a backup delivering boy who will deliver it at 2 o'clock to your doorstep. Is that okay? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Not great, but fine. All right, as a token of appreciation and for being sorry for this situation, can I give you a free voucher? So they passed out a voucher for people that hadn't received their newspaper. 20 euros for their own bookstore, so benefit for them as well. Then I said, you know what, that actually was a nice process as well. So they went with this for 3 months and saw that that process had higher results in, again, NPS and CSAT scores than the live agent doing that process. So then they said, can we extend this into something else? And so they took a look if they could actually prolong the subscriptions with their readers. And they did the following really nice track in this one. So Zoom can track how the demeanor or the feeling of the end person and customer is on the phone or in the chat, and can say, you know what, he started off angry or slightly irate in this one. He went to either neutral or to positive when we passed on the voucher. So they said if the customer is neutral or positive, if he's still angry, okay, we're not going to bother him in prolonging it right now, his subscription. But if he is either neutral or positive, we're going to offer him an extension of his subscription by the virtual agent if it's within the next 3 months. So these were the two categories. Is the intention of the person positive? Then yes, go ahead and offer a subscription for another year at a discount of 20%. And again, and that surprised me, but nothing surprises me now when I talk about this, and I hear your examples as well, is that again, the NPS scores and CSAT scores were higher, and the conversion rate of the virtual agent was higher than the live agent. And so there's something there that they learn. And for me, the key takeaway is start small, build your experience in this one and see how you can extend this. And like you said, this can be a revenue generating opportunity for companies that go out of this, I have to answer and follow up an irate customer, actually turns into new business or upsell in this one. So one that stood with me over the past year in this.
Yeah.
So maybe we can go into the right. Okay, so here's Zoom with Duppal positioning itself as one of the leaders in this area. Do you want to give us some examples, Laura, what can be done? And if we just take the contact center and the AI virtual agent and the intelligence behind it, do you want to take us through some of the options that are available?
Yeah, sure. And I think when we look at, the expectation, and when we look at AI powered CX, as many people are positioning it across the industry, the way we think about it at Zoom is, what does that actually mean? What does that mean to you all watching this webinar today? Have a think about it. Have a think about, what does it mean to your organization? What does it mean to your customers? And what does it mean to your employees and your agents? Because we can apply technology, but as I mentioned earlier, if we don't understand, what that solution is, where that end goal is, and where we're driving towards, then actually the reality is we're not going to see those increased CSAT and NPS scores that Axel's just been sharing with us. We're not going to see that increased revenue or efficiency gain, or whatever that purpose is for you. But what we can do, once we understand your metrics, your business goals, your agent and customer experience goals, we can then start to place AI either front and center or working away in the background in order to improve those specific parts of your customer journeys and drive those metrics in order to make you successful. And that might look like a personalized experience, as we've both shared, knowing the customer, understanding what that customer might be talking to your organization about, looking at the history of what that customer has done recently. It may be, they've made a purchase, brilliant, they're coming back in. Let's proactively prompt the AI to ask them, how was the purchase you made last week?
Yeah.
That just makes human connection more visible to your organization, and we know that then drives brand loyalty. So there's all sorts we can do, but for us here at Zoom, it's really about, how do we humanize that experience? Because we know that that's when you build trust with your customers and agents, and that's when you really start to see the moving the needle on those metrics.
Yeah, I like your example, and in the next slide we talk about the pitfalls that you're trying to avoid, and I want to give one there on the first one, right? The intelligent training, and we want to walk you through things that we believe are changing the industry and changing the way in which we do support, and give you a couple of examples around that as well. For me, the first one is my wife and I received a letter from one of our insurance providers, where we also have an investment portfolio. So we received a letter saying your investment portfolio was changed from medium aggressive to aggressive. And there was no telephone number on there. There was no policy number on there. And I looked at my wife like, did we have an investment portfolio with that provider? I didn't know that. So I went to their website and found a very, very friendly AI tool. And so I typed in, also they asked, how can I help you with? And so it first started to recognize me over my postal code and phone number. So I was like, awesome, this is going the right direction. So then the question was, how can I help you today? And I said, well, listen, I received this letter with an investment portfolio that we have no knowledge of. Could you, tell me more about, who to contact? And I said, okay, based on your address information, I can see you have a car insurance with us. Would you like more information about your car insurance? I said, no, this is really not related to the car insurance. It's about the investment portfolio. Okay, what details about the car insurance would you require if this is not the right information? I said, well, it's really not about the car insurance. And this is where I was getting fed up, and I could tell that they had built this for the 4 or 5 questions around car insurance. And what they had forgotten completely was to intelligently say, there could be a 6th question, which is not related to this, right? And in that way, all they had to do was, oh, sorry, I don't fully understand your question. I'm going to transfer you to a live agent right now. That would have been a perfect solution to the situation. So they had put an AI agent there who really made me irate, and I was very disappointed by the company offering me that service. And so to adapt this, learn, right? This is what I love about the product, Laura, is that once you build up the experience with the product, you score how successful the answers were, right? So you ask the customer, have I answered your question? Yes, you have. All right, that's on the plus side. If this goes to an accuracy of 90, 95 to 99%, you're on the right track. But don't forget to look at the ones where we're going to say no, right? So you might have the top 5, top 10 questions that you haven't answered correctly. You got to give some love and care to those as well. And the learning experience that Zoom offers for that, I think, is an important one. Yeah. Do you want to talk us also about the maybe the virtual voice, which is upcoming this month, actually, as a preview?
Yeah, we've got the preview
for that to happen.
We're all waiting with bated breath for our incredible product team to share the preview of that. So I think we've seen a lot of success, as we've heard already today, with the virtual agent from a text-based perspective. One of the great things about what our product team do is think about not only what does that experience look like for the end user and the customer, but also how does that look like for the admin, the people that are building the bots. To your point a second ago, Axel, it's not just a one and done. We have to think about that ongoing optimization and reviewing of the bots. So they're also thinking about how do we make it easy for those bot builders, those bot analytic reviewers to be able to improve that. And that's where you'll see a lot of additional sort of product features that really support improvements of those metrics.
Yeah.
When it comes to the voice side of things, we are very much looking at for Zoom Contact Center only in the first phase, how do we replicate the success we've seen in our text-based virtual agent when it comes to voice? So how do we support, voice is still a huge part of the contact center world. Long gone are the days of voices, go in and digital channels are here. Voice is still huge. So when we've got people coming into those conversations, how do we take the benefit of, that automated experience again, when it's the right thing to do for that customer journey, and we've mapped that out alongside your business outcomes? How do we then enable your organization to take some of those journeys, automate them, and really pass those valuable conversations to your human agents, where we know that the human to human experience is going to add total value to your end user?
Yeah, great example. And we have the multi-language bots that I just want to touch on, because we have a travel agency that actually is using that. Dutch travel agency, but they had for their French part of the customers, also Belgian customers, a call center in Paris that they were using. And so they found out about the multi-language bots, and what they did then is to extend that Paris call center as the main call center for all the European customers. And believe it or not, but most of them literally just speak French in that call center. So what they established was a Scandinavian bot, Scandinavian or Swedish-speaking bot, who can then take questions like, I'd like to have a seat with more leg space for my flight to Madeira. So great, that came in French for the French agent. He replies in French, yeah, I have 2 seats available at 140 euros each. Is that okay? And that was then automatically translated in perfect Swedish, again, back to the end customer. For me, again, I said, 1992, I started selling call center solutions in the Netherlands. And one of the big arguments was always like, oh, we speak 3.2 languages on average here in the Netherlands. But you could never find the agents because, they were so sought after. And you see that it's so much easier to sometimes have a very well trained and friendly agent on the phone or on the chat side of things, but then take that language problem between quotation marks away and say, hey, this could be South America, Africa, Asia, or for crying out loud, Paris, right? In this case. And why don't we extend it to 15, 100 languages that we like to support from that one location? So again, that was a trickle down where people saved a lot of money and could use one single call center instead of 4 in their example, where they covered the other languages. Yeah, again, have that conversation, right, with either Duppal or with Zoom. Share your thoughts, your concerns in this one. There is still so much more that you can do in this area. Wrap up times. I see this as the last point. Okay, this is a small one. People are going to say, oh yeah, what about wrap up times? for me, that's a critical one. And maybe you want to share the ideas around how Zoom with AI's help can help reduce that wrap-up time, Laura.
And wrap-up's huge, because when you think about wrap-up time and running an operation, as I'm sure many of you do or have done previously, like myself, actually you're looking at what does that wrap-up time actually consist of? Again, is it valuable use of the agent's time? Usually it consists of a disposition code being put in there, which is a reason for the call. And there might be four, but I can guarantee you the agent just wants to get it done, and they'll click the top disposition code and mark it done. It's about really accurately monitoring and recording what took place in that conversation. So when that customer calls back again, we can drive that personalization. We can make them feel really special as a customer to your organization. So what Zoom are doing in this space is actually taking the pain away from the agent by applying that auto disposition code. So the AI will do a summary of what's happened in that call. The text will be placed there. From that, it will put the reason for the call there. What does this mean? Well, it doesn't just take away the pain from the agent, it provides much more accurate data for you to then optimize your business from moving forward, because you actually understand the reasons why your customers are calling. You also then understand the reasons why they're not calling, and perhaps there's something there you need to be aware of. You can map that data perhaps to complaints and other parts of the organization. So it just gives you a holistic view as to how you can continually improve that CX experience. So I think the final point for me on wrap up is that's a business lens. From an agent lens, it might just give them a couple of minutes back to take their breath. You know, if they're dealing with a little bit more of an irate customer or a vulnerable customer, and it's taken a little bit out of them emotionally, they can walk to the coffee machine, grab a coffee, and take a breath before the next call. And that's where, you know, we don't need to be streamlining and reducing agent headcount. We need to be looking at agent well-being and how do we support them to be at their best.
Yeah, awesome point. And I'd like to touch on one point, Laura, where I'm not sure if this is the baby that everyone has forgotten about. I think that's a saying in Germany. So I'm not sure if I can translate that 100% like that. But it's the one that people do tend to forget or use a different, Excel spreadsheet very often still for, which is the workforce management environment. And I've seen some of the companies that I work with for the contact center field use 6, 7, 8 tools and try to make them all talk to each other. The one could be the call routing and the queuing tool. One could be the knowledge base architecture tool, right? One could be the workforce management Excel spreadsheet. Quality management, we don't have the time for it. We don't know really how to track that information. And we haven't even talked about connections to an e-commerce engine or your CRM tool, which is all there within the Zoom platform. And so getting from these 6 or 7 tools into a smaller platform makes it doable. Talking to a call center a provider right now who goes from 20 to 100 agents during the peak times now around Black Friday, Christmas, and then January again, and all the returns are handled. And he says, I have either 20 agents in the summer or 100, and that staffing is for me a tough job in Excel spreadsheets to handle. And then, have agents that want to spend Christmas maybe at home and then want to change their shifts. So you want to take us maybe through ideas on how Zoom is looking at that, and maybe touch also on what makes Zoom unique in that quality management area.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look at, I guess, the workforce management, everything about Zoom is trying to make that easy for your business. And, to the points you've just mentioned, they're streamlining those multiple different resources into something that is quite proactive and drives that workforce management and that workforce engagement management for you. We also want to empower agents. You mentioned coming up to the Christmas period, they might want to swap shift. And to do that, normally it's an email to a manager. Can we find some? Actually, by empowering them to request and bid for a change in their shift, actually just takes away a lot of the time, effort, and resource, and makes them again as an agent feel valued. So, where Zoom are different in this space is thinking about how do we make it easier for your agents? How do we make it easier for your business operations to be successful? When it comes to quality management, this is huge because I remember working with, 2 quality managers that had to cover hundreds of agents, and they'd randomly pick the odd call or the odd web chat to review. What we're doing here is using the best of, the existing Zoom technology, and that's where we
Yeah.
really differentiate. We've been working in sort of this automation space, looking at picking out keywords and key phrases across the entire platform. So we're using the best of our platform to bring this into quality management for you. So if you really want to drill down into a specific word that the agents are using, not just on the odd chat that or conversation that you've picked out, but across 100% of your interactions, you can do that. You can see any trends. You can then really focus your time on coaching and improving your agents, again, to drive that optimal customer experience.
Yeah, I like the way in which also the emotional part of that conversation is being tracked, right? And how much that is possible. And to see also maybe, you have an agent that doesn't run into irate customers, right? He has a resolution that people actually like. So you can go on that part and say, hey, listen, let's duplicate that, right? And we can actually copy a part of a support call with a customer and share that with the complete team and say, hey, listen, this latest Windows error that we're running in, Michael has found a resolution and he has found a neat way in demonstrating it. Have a look at that one because you might be running into this one. So really interesting things that we'd love to show you more about if you'd like to see and get in contact with us, and we'll show you more about this. So Laura, we're getting closer to where to go to from here, right? And in my mind, it is the start small, but start at all, right? So we do see customers getting a competitive advantage. We have some customers that are really, really a proud customer, but don't want to be a reference customer. They're like, okay, no, listen, this is actually an advantage for me. I don't want this name to get out because this is working great. I know a conversation I had in Berlin at the call center where somebody said, I have 1,100 phone lines that are being answered by an AI agent right now. So imagine that, right? And that works for them. He said, I never had so high CSAT or NPS scores in my life before. So interesting things that you can see. But also, like we said a number of times here, it's not the one size fits all, right? An AI agent just put onto a website with, 2 or 3 questions that it can answer, and it can't answer the 90 other ones. It's going to backfire, and you're going to get really poor results from this one. I think the benefit of getting the 6, 7, or 8 applications down to 1 or 2, maybe in this instance, is going to help you in scaling and growing and making sure if your company grows, you can work on this one. Then the video part, as I think, is one that we haven't actually covered, right? So Zoom always very famous for the use of video in communications. How can we see this being used, Laura, in your mind when it comes to contact center environments?
Seeing this actually increasing across contact centers. And again, what's great about what Zoom and our amazing product team have done is they've used what we are known for and what we lead in the industry for, which is our video platform, and brought that into contact center. With the click of a button, I can be on a call, Axel, and I can click and raise into a video call. Where have we seen success? So in post sales, I've had an item delivered and there's a defect on the item, and I'm trying to describe that. It's really difficult to describe something on a phone call, or I'm trying to find a serial number on there and I can't find it. I can escalate that to video, both for me as the consumer and the contact center agent, and I can show them what I'm looking at. They can direct me, they can point me in order to make that resolution. And actually, one of the customers, I can't name them, unfortunately, it's a UK retailer, but they're now live on contact center and are using this use case. I bought products through them. Their old customer journey, I had that. It was a defect. It was a horrendous customer journey. And I ended up having to send emails with photos, and it was really slow and it was infuriating. They are now using Uplift from voice to video for that same journey. And again, is seeing increased customer satisfaction, reduced complaints. So really proud of that one because I experienced it firsthand for myself.
Awesome. And I remember a conversation with a customer who said to me, like in the conversation on video, so why would I need video, right? So he was shaking his head, his arms were crossed. And I said, exactly for that reason, right? I'd like to see if you say yes, but you're shaking your head and you have your arms crossed, then I haven't gotten across my resolution to you. So I'd like to see you frown your head. I'd like you to see you shake your head in this one. So that tells me I have to do something else, or maybe I have to do a different tone of voice to get through to what I'm trying to establish. So yeah, great example in this one. And I think, we're both ready, Laura and I, to take you into live examples of where you are working on, or where you could see, the solutions from Zoom with the virtual agent or the contact center add value to your process. So we'd love to take your questions right now. So if we're really interested, you have the Q&A panel on your right. On the lower part of the screen, you can answer your question, or you can pose your question, I'm sorry. So we'd love to take your questions in that. Might that be around what we have presented, or something that you're running into, or just considerations that you've seen from what happens on the market right now? Let me see if we get something coming in. All right, I do get a question around AI and agents. Okay, that's an interesting one. So Axel, do AI agents, when they are successful, replace the live agent? I'm going to give my 1 minute spiel on this one, and then Laura, I'm going to pass over to you. What you think about this? So there are two things that I've seen in the market. First of all, I'm based in the Netherlands. We cover the Benelux market. It's very tough to keep an agent for a long period at the phone. That's the first consideration. So if you're under 25, it's 9 months in the Netherlands that on average somebody stays in that role. So you start training them for a month or two, then he slowly gets up to speed, maybe on month 6, and on month 9 on average, he's already, left the company again. And it's very tough because, there's another company that offers you the role for a little bit more salary in this one. So companies have a lot of attrition. So how can we change that? It is that repetitive work, I think, that is causing a lot of issues for agents. So if we can take this, what's your name? What's your phone number? What's your postal code? What's this about? Take this out of the conversation, but let the live agent do the interesting questions. So there's a Windows error, and I'd like you to go to this page here, then install this, and we're going to fix it in this way. That's the one that they like to work on. They don't like to work on this repetitive thing. And I've also seen that on the contact center world, we discussed this in length, that people were actually giving their live agents a career path to become a sort of team lead for the virtual agents. So they were looking at how was the quality of the answers of the virtual agent. Hey, he missed the boat completely. That wasn't the right answer. I'm going to help him by giving 10 possible answers to that question. And here 10 possible answers to that question. Let's see how that evolves over a week. So it helps on their CV, right? So I've been a team lead, and I've trained, and I've done intent creation. So all the buzzwords that you have around an AI virtual agent. So I think, no, at this point in time, I don't think there are enough people that can man the phones. So a virtual agent is not going to lead to massive, layoffs in the call center world. Laura, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, and we're seeing this. I think I think there are cost efficiencies that organizations have gained from utilizing AI, but I think we're now seeing brands repurpose agents, as you mentioned, whether that be a career in building and managing AI, or whether that be repurposing them into a more revenue generating role, or upskilling them and giving them career opportunities in more of the complex conversations that are coming through. So when I'm speaking to brands at the minute, they're not looking at reducing agent headcount in the vast majority. They're looking at, Laura, how do we keep people engaged with our brand? The cost to replace somebody is huge. When we see these high levels of attrition, actually to recruit and onboard and train costs brands a lot of money. So they would much rather look after their agents, provide them with a good well-being, and drive them to have a career with their organizations, is what we're hearing across the region.
Right. I have one more question that came in. It's around contact center being I won't say a new environment for Zoom, but how does it fit into the rest of the portfolio of the Zoom platform?
Sure, yeah. So I mean, it is fairly new as a product set for Zoom. It's been around sort of 3 years globally now. However, it really complements the rest of the platform. So if you again, I've said it a few times in this webinar, we have used the best of our platform when creating the contact center. This isn't just something that we've spun up from nowhere. We've taken what works really well and what people love about Zoom, and we've driven that into the product. Where we see real success is where we are seeing people adopt and use Zoom for a total experience. So as the contact center and the CX world is changing, actually it's not just about people on phones. It's
Yep.
about that end-to-end customer journey, and there are multiple touch points in that, whether that be front office or back office. And where we're seeing people having the best success is where they are collaborating across the different parts of the Zoom platform for that total customer and agent experience. We're seeing it work really, really well.
Okay. I'm looking at Sander. Sander, any more questions in chat or Q&A? I think we're done. Okay, awesome. Then again, let me thank everyone for being present today. It was fun to talk about this subject again. Feel free to reach out to any of us. I'm not sure, Sander, if we can show the last slide with the QR codes for people and the phone numbers in this one. If you want to, yeah, awesome. So if you want to reach out to us, that would be great. We're happy to answer your questions and help you in the process. And want to thank you again for the time that you spent with us today, and wish you all a great continuation of the week. Thank you.